data is really important. I'm so glad that you guys put the conversation at the desk of governors, because sometimes it seems like, even as the media, we focus so much on federal government and forget that the state and local governors and governments are even closer to the people. And of course, we have more data, such as the ones you were discussing with your guests. I guess we can push the conversation back to them and ensure that they do wake up. Well, good morning. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. So it's 30 minutes of business. That's what we will do. We're beginning from the global space, where we'll talk about oil prices. It stalled on Friday over a forecast of slowing demand by International Energy Agency after gaining in the previous session on weak U.S. retail sales data that sparked optimism that the Fed might cut interest rates sooner than expected. Looking at the prices right here now, this is one of those unusual times that we see a reverse relationship in the movement. So for Brent, we saw that it dropped 0.1% at $82.77 a barrel, while for WTI, it gained 0.99%, gained a whole lot there, at $78.07 a barrel. Both contracts climbed over 1% on Thursday as a larger than expected drop in U.S. retail sales prompted hopes that the Federal Reserve will soon start cutting interest rates, which could be positive for oil demand. The U.S. Commerce Department report showed retail sales dropped 0.8% in January, and that's the biggest fall since February 2023. And going over now to the global grain space to see how that is doing this morning. We see that soybeans is up there 0.3%, and also Chicago wheat futures dropped on Friday, headed for their biggest weekly fall since last September after U.S. government forecast larger than expected inventories as importers struggle to compete with cheap Russian grain. Soybeans, we saw there, it edged higher. Corn fell, so we see soybeans up 0.3% at $11.65 for 3/4 of a bushel right there. And then looking at the next one, the most active wheat contracts on the Chicago Board of Trade also was down. Corn was also down $5.60 for 1/4 of a bushel. And also this week, and nearing September's 3-year low, CBOT of soybeans SVI also rose a bushel, but we're down around 1.5% for the week in the previous session. The contract hit $11.60 for 1/4 of a bushel, and that's its lowest since December 2020. All right, now looking at other issues coming up today. Yesterday, of course, we had that inflation number for January in Nigeria, and we saw that inflation, Nigeria's headline inflation, it saw in January hitting a record high of 29.9%, and basically on surging food prices and the weakened naira. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the consumer price index rose 0.98% to 29.9% from 28.92% recorded in December, while core inflation, that's the one without food, rose to 23.59%. The NBS report shows food inflation jumped to 35.41% in January from 33.93%. The NBS attributes this rise in food inflation to increases in prices of potato, yam, and other tubers, as well as bread, cereal, fish, meat, tobacco, and vegetable. Analysts believe that this higher than expected inflation rate may add pressure on the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee to sharply raise interest rates further at its meeting that's supposed to begin on February the 26th. And that'll be for the first meeting in 7 months back here in Nigeria. Well, still talking about the central bank now. Yesterday was a flurry of circulars. It directed all authorized dealer banks to stop payment of personal travel allowance, that's PTA and business travel allowance in cash. So you can only access those through the e-channels. According to the CBN, these allowances must now be processed through electronic channels, including debit or credit cards. These directives, signed by the Director of the Trade and Exchange Department, Dr. Hassan Mahmood, aims to bolster transparency and stability in the foreign exchange market while curbing forex malpractices. That was not done. Dr. Mahmood was not done, I tell you, yesterday. In a bid to regulate the flow of foreign exchange, the central bank also announced restriction on the ability of international oil companies, that's the IOCs, to fully repatriate 100% of their foreign exchange earnings from Nigeria at once. Under this significant policy change, which takes effect immediately, only 50% of proceeds from IOCs can be repatriated immediately, with the remaining 50% subject to a 90-day delay. The decision, according to the CBN, aims to address concerns about the impact of cash pooling on the domestic foreign exchange market. And by implementing these measures, the CBN seeks to strike a balance between facilitating IOCs access to their export proceeds and ensuring adequate liquidity within Nigeria's foreign exchange market. And I tell you, Dr. Mahmoud was not done even with that. A third circular came in late yesterday from the central bank, of course signed also by the Director of Trade. The CBN has reviewed the allowable limits of price deviation for exports and imports to minus 15% and plus 15% of global prices, instead of the initial 2.5% above the 25% above the reference point. The regulator notes that price verification system is not meant to determine the actual prices of items for tariffs or duty charged by government, but to enable the CBN curtail the excess outflow of the limits of foreign exchange through over-invoicing and other price manipulation activities. The circular was signed by the Director of Trade and Exchange Department, Dr. Hassan Mahmood. So this was towards close of work yesterday, and so the CBN the day dated 14th, so the day before, but I guess before it gets to the media, it has to go through the banks and all of those authorized dealers in FX. But now let's try to understand, having so many circulars and updates on policy coming at the same time, we don't want to be caught not understanding what each of them means. So let's talk to the Chief Executive Officer of Star Advisory Limited, Mr. Kevin Ekalufo, joins us virtually from Abuja. Mr. Ekalufo, good morning and thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. So a lot of circulars have been coming from the CBN, but the one for yesterday, let's focus on that. So the first one, of course, which I think will affect more people, will be the BTA and PTA. So, but I don't think this is the first time that the central bank is saying that it's only e-channels that can be used. I know there was a time that you could use cards if you want to travel abroad, and then you pay with your cards, although withdrawing cash even outside the country would also cost you more. But I mean, this has been done before, so I guess it's just resuscitating something that has been in existence. I think you've muted, Mr. Ekalufo. Could you check your mute button?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
now?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yes, the reason this circular came about is because the CBN has noted that a number of people apply for PTA and PTA for their travels and maybe cancel their ticket last minute. So they divert this hard currency to other users. And so it's necessary for the regulator to curb the flow of FX because they have a limited supply. If this is not curbed, the rate of flow is not curbed, then we would deplete the reserves pretty quickly, and this would impact the exchange rates.
Then the other one on IOCs, I mean, allowing them to take 50% first and then 50% in 90 days, eventually it means they're still taking their 100%. So does it really make a difference?
Yes, it does. I must say that cash pooling is not a new concept. Almost all companies, large companies, do it. Even local companies do it. If you have multiple branches, you do cash pooling. But when the CBN has to manage a limited supply of dollars, you would need to reduce the rate at which it is going out. Also, it's also a pointer to the fact that there is relatively a run on the dollar, if you would like to put it like that, because a lot of the IOCs would rather sweep out the dollar from their subsidiaries in Nigeria quickly to their home country, because they believe that, anything could happen and their dollars could be held back and it would affect their ability to make investments, whether expansion or acquisition of other oil wells or oil fields in other parts of the world, So what it behoves on the CBN to slow this rate of sweeping of these effects out of our economy. And we are not the first country to have done this. I know that in Asia, it's difficult places like China, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, many of these Southeast Asian tigers, for you to do pooling of cash. It might be easy in Europe to do that because they have a singular policy around tax, and they have also a single currency. But when you have a scenario where you are a nation where you have only one source of forex, which is this trading of oil, and there's a limited quantity being sold, you have a limited amount of dollars coming into the economy. You need to slow the rate of this movement of this forex out of the economy.
But isn't that also a discouraging factor for investors? I mean, I don't think we're done with the backlog of repatriated or funds that were not could not be repatriated. So isn't this just going to once again bring uncertainty among investors, foreign investors?
Well, it is possible that could happen, but let's not forget, like I said, Nigeria is not the only country doing this. There are a number of countries who are facing the same challenge and are also not allowing you to just move cash across borders, especially for something high demand like forex, in a case like Nigeria. Even in Canada, I remember maybe around 2018, there was this issue of cash pooling and the challenges, and corporate sector in Canada had to even form a pressure group to talk to government and see how they can improve the policy to help them to allow for this cash pooling. Because if unchecked, it has negative impacts for any economy. If you can just move money anyhow, at any volume, at any time, it means the country could find themselves in the face.
All right, so what about the third one, which is on price verification system? Help us to understand how that works and this limit that has been moved to plus or minus 15%.
I think that policy that just changed is as a result of the global inflation. Before, the rate was 2.5%. Now they raised it to minus 15 and plus 15 for exports and for imports. The reason for PBS in the first place was to prevent over-invoicing for imports or under-invoicing for exports. Now, as it is with the global inflation, prices of items have gone up. So there is a need to review the pricing mechanism on the PBS for Nigerian imports or exports. So that is the reason behind that policy change.
But all of this, well, we do hope that eventually we would see, because yesterday the Naira dropped again to a new low, about 1,000, more than 1,600. So, I mean, the aim of all of this is to boost the value of the Naira. We hope one way or the other to go to that value, which is the aim of all of this.
But I must say that the CBN is limited in the number of tools it has to solve the problems we're currently facing. A lot of the solutions are outside the purview of the CBN. There's a need for Nigeria to start investing in heavy industries. There's a lot of the manufacturing is light manufacturing, light industries. We need to start investing in heavy industries. We need to have our steel sector start working. We're importing way too many things. You know, a lot of chemicals we're importing for production in Nigeria that should be produced here. We hope with the coming on stream of the Dangote petroleum complex, refinery complex, that some of these chemicals will start producing them here.
Exactly. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it goes back to the bottom line, which is we need to boost our supply and reduce our import. But thank you so much, Chief Executive Officer of Star Advisory Limited, Mr. Kevin Ekalufo, for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, talking about boosting local supply, production right here, MSMEs are the bottom of that. I know a lady who is very passionate. In fact, I think they call her Niger brand chick. You make up your mind for yourself when you see her. We have joining us now to discuss, you know, giving visibility to small businesses in Nigeria to help them do better. Nelly Agogo joins me in the studio right now. Hi, Nelly. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so you're called Niger brand chick.
Yes.
Okay, I guess this is all Nigeria.
Yes.
Great, but you're very passionate about small businesses. You're passionate about visibility for small businesses. Mostly, of course, a lot of them do not have that fund to go on big television stations and all of that, but they could do social media. Are they embracing it enough? Are they catching up from that platform?
Okay, I would say yes. A lot of business owners are beginning to understand the need to use social media to boost their businesses. With the way the economy is right now, you will understand that going with the brick and mortar is actually so much difficult than, you know, having a digital real estate, which is what I call our social media these days. So when you own a digital real estate, which is your page where you are, you know, showcasing your wares, what you're selling, how you're trying to connect with your customers, the customer experiences that you give to your customers. So that helps you to actually sell more. And what people are looking for is not someone who is trying to fake it, but looking for people who are trying to be, you know, authentic in their ways, showing as realistic as possible. This is who I am, this is my business, and I want you to buy from me.
Yeah, but you know the thing with when you go to social media is you just see people who are trading, people who just import to trade. But I mean, from the last conversation we're having, we're looking for people who can produce, who can use local. Are these people there also? We see more of the people who import.
Actually, there's a lot of people who also produce. For instance, I own a business, Nelly's Nigeria, where I produce healthy snacks in Nigeria, and we use ugu to make tortilla chips. Instead of having to go and import, yes, we make ugu tortilla chips. So there are many of us here. The only problem is that we continue to look for more ways to, you know, showcase ourselves. So what I kind of tell people is that, see, instead of going to import first, you should first of all think about what are the ways that you can actually get things within Nigeria. How do you substitute all those things you want to import? Let me give you an instance. We used to use a lot of almond flour, which we import whenever we're baking our stuff at Nelly's. However, recently, we started looking for how do we use cashew instead of almonds? They're all in the same category, but can't we do cashew flour? Do you understand? So looking inwards and, you know, trying to see how we can produce locally is very important.
So, when it, of course, we want to, even I think the governors and the president met yesterday and they talked about, you know, how we're not going to import and all of that. But when you look inwards again, sometimes overhead cost even makes some of those things even more. But let's talk about the advantages of visibility and the platforms available for small businesses, you understand, to showcase themselves.
So if your business is not visible, it is dead. That's just the simplest way to explain it. If people can't find you to buy what you're selling, it's almost as useless as you not starting up a business. And the best way to do this, so how do you do it? You use the social platforms that are free currently to, you know, help to showcase your business. You can open up today freely a Facebook or Instagram page today and just start to showcase what you're selling. You can decide to start running ads to make more people know about you. You don't even need to be a star or need anybody to know you. All you need to do is to get the right messaging for your business. Let people know this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. And another thing again is take them on a story, on a journey. Don't just come there to say, come and buy. Do you understand? Take them on and say, hey, this is me, I'm a small business owner, I'm just starting up, I'm doing it afraid. I want you guys to come on this journey with me. Let's go together. And people want to follow you. They want to say, oh, I loved how hardworking you are. They want to see behind the scenes, not only the time when you're taking only the picture, you're giving us all the fine pictures. We want to see other times when you're packing the orders, the times when you're in the farm. We want to see the times when you're rearing your goods, and if you're into poultry, when you're picking up the eggs. We want to see that authentic you. That is what makes people want to buy from me, and that is how you become more visible. When I see such a thing, I'm like, babe, see this person. This person is actually doing this. This person is, then I share. That's how you have shareable content. That's how you start to go viral. Virality is simple. It's all about showcasing yourself. Virality that sells. Not just, there are many virality that you have that you will not make sales. But the one that will help you to grow are the ones that are most important.
But there are some people who prefer physical. So even after you've done that, some people, if I want to buy a dress, for instance, I want to be sure of the quality of the material, and all of that. Some people really want to see you. How do you handle those?
There are many ways to mitigate this. Especially remember we're talking about MSMEs, small businesses, and really they don't have the money to open up stores. They can have these goods. There's something they call escrow. You can have these goods delivered to someone, but the person would have paid, but the money will not have gotten to you. But when the person gets it and they like it, then they will now release the money. They say it's called an escrow account or payment. I think most of these banks and they do those kind of stuff. So what happens is that when that kind of stuff happens, it makes life much easier for both the buyer and the seller to have some sort of trust.
Yeah, but apart from that, also you also have, for instance, I know Lagos Chamber of Commerce, they do things like trade fairs. Can small businesses afford such?
The truth is that affordability of fairs is relative. There are fairs that you go to that it is affordable, but then will you get the result that you want? No, because what makes a fair much important and gives you the visibility that you want is in the marketing, is in the pushing of the brands, is in making sure that these people get to have other people who will buy from them. So that's why I said it's relative. You may want to get someone who will charge you lesser, but they will not give you anything. At the end of the day, you feel like you have lost money. But when you have people who would tested and trusted like me, I crown myself. Yes, I crown myself as queen of trade fairs, MBC trade fair, right? When you have someone like me at your back in your corner, I don't only teach you how to come on the fair to sell. I start to teach you how to do your marketing. I train you on what you need to do, how to get yourself ready. And when I'm done with you, your business mindset will change, your visibility. You see,
but you charge, but
yes,
you charge,
I have to, because I have to market them. I have to market them. So it can't be free. Do you understand? Because of the level of work that we do, the level of marketing, you need to understand that it's not easy. And you know how the cost of things are these days.
But how do you deal with small businesses or small business owners who are not really enlightened?
Enlightened in what sense, please?
Speaking English and do all the tush
We don't
things.
want you to speak English. That's the thing. We don't want you to speak English. We want you. So what we started doing recently was to bring out the culture of Nigeria in our fairs. So when we are doing our fairs, we want, as you're doing your marketing, we want your marketing to showcase your state. We're going to Benin next. We're going to Benin on the 23rd and 24th of March. After we just had Kano on the 3rd and 4th of February. So we want to showcase what is it about Kano? What is it about Benin? What is it about Lagos? Why should people want to come and support you? Do you understand?
Nelly, the way you're talking is like the drop in purchasing power is not affecting businesses, and yet,
the truth is that when you work hard, when you put in your time and you work really hard, people who are going to buy from you will come out.
Doesn't
they will
matter
show
inflation.
Up.
Inflation came out yesterday, 29.9.
I saw it. I was shedding tears. Trust me, I'm shedding tears. That's where the whole marketing comes in. You know, there's a lot into this whole marketing. There's the psychological marketing, emotional marketing, a lot of the, you know, have to bring and build all these things. And that's where we come in, and that's why we do what we do best.
And that's why they call you Ninja Branching.
Yes.
Thank you so much for those tips for small businesses. I'm sure someone out there would be using it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks.
All right, so I guess you felt that passion there. If you're a small business, you can hop on any of the social media platforms and use some of those things that Nelly said, and it will boost your business, I believe. But that's much we can take now. I have to hand over back to the Sunrise Daily guys. Guys, if you have a small business, this is the time to hop on social media. Chamberlain and Kayla, as well as Ayo.